Grown food. Grown food. ASC got produce. ASC about to go cool.
Welcome to Food Moves the World podcast. I'm your host, Nicole from Appetite for Change. I am thankful to have you here. Can you let the guests know who you are?
I am Rasheda Jenkins. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
You know, I can't complain. I'm honored to be here. When you sent me that email, I was like, that's a blessing. So thank you so much.
Yeah. I wanted to do that because I wanted to share to people. I wanted the world to know who you were because of the work you do and the person you are. I thought you would be a great guest to have on the show. Can you let them know who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So my story is it has evolved. So I kind of start from the beginning. Rasheda Jenkins. I'm born and raised in Minnesota. I'm from the Rondo community in St. Paul. I went to Benjamin E. Mays. Central High School, shout out to the Minutemen, class of 98. If you're from Minnesota, you know. And so then we moved to the north side. I got married, and I'm a mother of 4. So my life has really evolved. I was a school bus driver. I got a license to be a cosmetologist. I did hair and nails. I used to work for Herberger's. I was a construction worker, right? So all the things. And then I fell and hit my head and sustained a traumatic brain injury in 2017. And so I had to reinvent myself. And so through some trials and tribulations and doing some dead-end jobs, I realized that I have a voice. And so as a facilitator with the Northside Achievement Zone, I have the honor and privilege of teaching and facilitating concepts to families on the North Side, just about how to love your babies, how to play with them, how to go from survival mode to thriving mode. I teach an empowerment course with the Northside Achievement Zone as well. And that's where my business evolved from because I saw a gap. And so within that gap, I felt like I could help fill it with some curriculum that I've written. So it's just really been an evolution of Rasheda.
Seems like you had like a lot going on. Right?
No kidding.
Like it's like you touched on it all, but you landed somewhere where you felt like your purpose and what matters to you. Like what made you discover your why.
Yeah. So through it all, people have always been a blessing in my life, right? And righteous relationships is something that I honor. I think a lot of times we meet people and we're not really understanding, why we're together and why God put us in each other's paths. And so with Growth Industries, I speak to the born overcomer in you, right? And that we are all born overcomers. And what happened from birth to now when we got to the idea of we're not enough, we need something from the outside to give us pleasure and happiness. What happened? And so I speak to that. I create spaces and opportunities through workshops and personal development curriculum that talks to that born overcomer in you and how can we pull that person out? How can we get that born overcomer to actually shine and live out loud without any embarrassment, without any shame, and just be who God has called you to be?
Next.
Okay.
How do you do that? You know, the people that are like feeling like if it's not them or they're just meant to be, but they're nobody. So how do you make them brighten their light that's been dimmed? Yeah,
that's a mindset, right? Something in life, from trauma to experiences to something someone's told you that you've played over and over again. And after a while, you begin to believe those lies that someone has told you. So I always start with, close your eyes and imagine a seed fighting, right? 300 million seeds fighting to get to a final destination. They're all going to the same place. Some get lost on the wayside. Some lose their way. Some die off. Some get lost. Some get stuck, right? But one makes it and life begins. And that's you. You're that one out of 300 million. Like, that's amazing. So after that, after I fought through all of that adversity, all of those things, I persevered to make it here. And now just to say that I'm a nobody, that is false at its core. And so that's what I speak to. I speak to that original born overcomer. And we go through the weeds of life, right? We talk about personal empowerment. We talk about emotional intelligence, all of the things that get muddied throughout life from, maybe abuse, drug addiction, having an abusive parent, maybe even just not being seen for who you truly are, and someone had to try to mold you into what they thought you should be, right? All the things that we experience, how do we pull that out so that we can be who God has called us to be?
All right. Sometimes I pick on the school system, right? Especially in North Minneapolis.
Yes.
Right? They always say, they probably don't say these poor little children's, right? They're unable to learn. But I always be like, they need to be more mindful of the language they use when they're speaking to our babies.
Yes.
Y'all got this thing where they say they're behind, right? So how can a child be behind if they're coming in the grade at the same level? But the first thing you say, you are behind. So you continue to tell them this as they grow up, like the achievement gap or whatever that is. And I'd be like, can y'all just say something else? Rather than that, because you keep telling them what they're not.
Yes.
So they're believing what they're not. If you just use a different language and speak to them.
Yes.
And just say you're the best and you're the greatest and you're going to do this and you're going to do this. And not worry about who's above them, as you allegedly say.
That's intentional, right?
I know that it's very intentional. And it just irritates me, right? Because I'm like, you purposely doing this because you're speaking that into them.
Yes.
When you should be speaking positive.
Speaking life.
Yeah, speaking life into our babies.
Yes.
So I know you say it starts somewhere somebody told them that they're not, but it really, to me, starts in the school. And I wish that they do change what they say when they speak to our kids, right? Because they always just put this image on them where they are less than, right?
Yes.
And they come from healthy homes most of the time, right?
Yes.
But you telling them they coming from this area because they live here that they're less than.
It's a
they're
stigma.
Losing, right?
Yes.
Like,
well, they already have some things against them because they're black, right? And especially if they're a young male, and then you get into the school system and there's already a preconceived idea that you're less than because you're from the north side. You're less than because you're raised by a single parent. You're less than because maybe you're on Section 8. You're less than because maybe you're taking the school bus instead of being driven, in a nice car. And so there's all these things stacked against you, right? And then let's say you go to a school that doesn't have a uniform, and so your parents have to buy you clothes, and they may not be able to get you the best, so you're wearing your older brother's hand-me-downs with some holes and some stains in it. And so the assumption is because you don't look the part, then mentally there's something wrong with you too, right? False. Those are all false. And I truly believe that the work starts at home. And so it's my job as my scholar's first and primary teacher to instill that in you. So no matter what you come up against, you're not isolated, you're insulated. So I am preparing you for whatever you're going to come up against, because we warring at home. We figuring this stuff out at home. So when you go out into the world, you're prepared.
Right.
Yeah.
So that little kid, the work you do, you deal with the adults, or do you deal with the scholars as well?
I deal with the parents.
So those parents that were broken as a child,
yes,
you're trying to help them refine life and their purpose as an adult.
Yes.
And they went through maybe 25 years of being told that they were nothing. Here you come, like
right.
Lies.
And I get that. You see that face you made?
Yeah.
And I get that because there's a lot of rebuttal against it, right? Because if a lie has been told to you over and over again, it becomes the truth. Yeah. And the truth that you have hardly heard becomes a lie. Right. And so we're at war with those lies that you've received. And we're going to combat those. And the problem is that's not your reality, because everything in the world tells you what you believe. Because our brains are wired in a way that if I believe I'm less than, everything that I see is going to tell me that. So when I go into a store and the clerk doesn't greet me, it's because I'm black. It's because I'm less than. She don't like me. When really it could be because maybe she just got into a fight with her boyfriend and she's thinking about trying to make it up with him. She ain't even thinking about me. But in my mind, because I already don't like myself, she don't either. And so now I'm going to present myself with an attitude because you don't like me, now I don't like you. And so here we go. I'm going to show up in a negative way, and I'm going to receive what I already assume I should receive. And it just feeds off itself. And it's a never-ending cycle. And so what we do is we break that cycle. Because I believe I'm lovable, I'm important, and I'm valuable, I believe you are too. And I show up that way. I show up lovable. I show up important. I show up valuable. So no matter what you got going on, I'm not going to receive your energy. I'm going to bring you mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's definitely dope because I know that a lot of people purposely would try to trigger you because they're not in the best mood, right? Because like you said, they already feel a certain way about themselves, so they want to make you angry too. And your work, like, I know it matters, but like, did you see something growing up where you felt like it was a change or something that needed to be changed and you may have the sauce to figure it out?
Well, see, the thing about it is I came from a 2-parent home. I lived in a Rondo community. My parents owned their home. My father was a college graduate. Like, he worked in corporate. Like, I had the ideal situation. I chose my own drama, right? I became a mom at 17. You know, I used to ditch school to go hang out with my boyfriend so I could smoke some weed. Like, my parents were model citizens, right? Of all aspects, right? Like, we went to church. I mean, I was raised in a church. Like, I was given all the tools I needed to succeed, but it wasn't enough. Something inside of me needed to be that, you know, city girl, the ratchet, I wanted drama.
Right.
And it's crazy. I built it around myself. And so as I became a young adult, I was 23 with 2 kids, single parent, trying to figure life out. And then I met my now husband. And I truly believe that his love helped me through this, because my issue was, you're not going to control me, because my dad is very dominating and my mother is more docile. And I grew up like, you're not going to control me. You're not going to tell me what to do because I got this. And so every man I was with, I was overbearing, I was controlling, very domineering, and, you know, they couldn't hang. And when I met my now husband, he was such a calm spirit that it drew me in and it calmed me down. So I truly believe that true love will show you your true self and bring that out.
So I hear you come from an amazing household, and you, as you say, you chose trauma, right?
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure a lot of people do come from a great household, and they just choose to be out in the street or into action.
Yes.
Like, what made you want to be like, you wanted to be different? Like, you didn't want to be what I'm considering the good girl, right? Following the rules, and you wanted to be, as you say, the city girl.
Okay.
Where you into it.
Yes.
There's trauma.
Yes.
The fast life. Like, why would you choose, like, I don't want this, I want this?
That's
and then
a great
realizing
question.
that your chosen was wrong. And
Yes.
you basically reversed and followed your parents' lead.
Yes.
At a later time
At a
in
later
life.
date.
But you did what you did to find you.
You know, I didn't honor the stable life. I didn't honor consistency. I didn't honor, you know, having what my parents provided. I wanted to struggle. Make that make sense, right? And I think a lot of times there's something inside of us that needs to seek something, and we have to go through things to figure out that we already had what we needed. And so that was my story. I'm the type of kid where I was like, you tell me it's hot, I gotta touch. Ooh, you're right, it is hot. Like, I just told you it was hot. That's the kid I was, right? Like, I had to touch it. I had to see for myself. You couldn't tell me no, because I'm gonna find out for myself. And I did. And through traumatic situations, through abusive boyfriends, right? Through homelessness, right? Through suicidalness. Like, I even tried to take my own life at one time. And all of those things brought me here. There are people that I'm supposed to reach, right? And I don't think I could reach them if I told them, oh, my life has been amazing. I've lived a 2-person home, and I've never experienced any trauma, and everything has just been so wonderful. And now how can I help you through yours? Right? So it's like, there's something I was supposed to go through. There was things that I was supposed to witness. You know, like, I was even prompted by a pimp. He tried to get me to be one of his pieces, you know, to make some money for the family, as he called it. You know, you bring money back to this house and everybody works together. I got my main, I got my side, and you might be with the bottom. And I was like, oh. And for a minute, I considered it, right? But by the grace of God, there's so many instances that I got myself into that he was like, nope, this ain't your story. We're going to pull you out of this. And by the grace of God, I am still here, 44 years old, looking you in the eye and saying that it can be done. You can make it out of those traumatic situations with a mindset shift.
In your work work, have you seen some lives change?
Yes.
People who didn't believe that's now like, thank you
yes.
for what you've done. This is what I'm doing.
Yes. So the Northside Achievement Zone is where I facilitate Family Academy classes. And I've been doing that since 2019. And so just to see the evolution of families go from just broken, right? You see mothers who degrade their children and talk to them like they're just not God-given. Because they don't believe that about themselves, right? And so they pass that along to changing how they speak to their kids and just the love that's different. Like I always believe that we love our children, but there's a way that you speak to them that lets them know that, right? Like I think a lot of times we are so afraid of what could happen that we create that situation for them through the trauma that we infuse through our language, through the way we show up, through just, punishments, right? And sometimes they're so overwhelmingly stifling that we cut off who they are designed to be because we just don't give them the autonomy to say, you know what, I love you, I see you. Let's do this with boundaries, with parameters. Instead, we just like, it's not happening because I said so, right? And it's like, well, why? I was always the questioning kid. I want to know why. You just ain't going to tell me no. You got to give me a reason. And a lot of times that's not honored in our Black households, right? In a Black household, you see, don't say nothing. You just do what you're told. Don't ask no questions. It's because I said so. Do as I say, not as I do. And those messages, they don't honor,
These kids today, they want to know why.
And you got to have a reason.
Why. Like it doesn't make sense to them, so you have to tell them why. Like even when it comes to my kids, it's a why, or why I can't go to my friend's house, or why they can't spend the night, or why I can't do this. Like, why are you asking me why? I said no. Like, when my parents told me no, that was the answer. But now y'all want to know the why.
Yes.
And if the why not good enough, I got to give you another why.
Yes.
And it got to make sense. And then even if it makes sense, there's another why, right? And be like, why are you asking so many questions? And I told you no.
Yes.
Like.
So case in point, my daughter, she's 20 now, but when she was like 16, she had locks. And she had beautiful... Since I tell you, her locks were amazing. But she wanted to cut them. So I told her, I said, give me a week. I said, because then I can research. We can look together some hairstyles you want. I said, because when you cut your locks, we got to cut them to, you going to have an inch of hair, sis. Like, you going from, 10 inches to an inch. We going to need to work this out. She didn't want to wait. She went upstairs. She cut them herself. Came downstairs crying, Mom, my hair. I said, now I tried to warn you. I asked you to wait, and you decided. I said, now you're on your own. And she had to go to school the next morning. She had to figure out what was she going to do with her hair. Now, she's 16 in high school, and you got hair an inch from 10 inches? Sometimes we have to give our kids those natural lessons where it's like, okay, you want to do what you want to do? Okay. Now, I told you no, and these are the reasons why I told you no. But now, you want to try it? Okay. You go ahead and you try it. There's certain things like... trying drugs. Nope, you're not trying that. I'm not going to give you...
You're going to cut your hair. I'm going to let you go ahead and sit in your struggle.
That's right. That's right. And after a few days when she was like looking a mess, trying to wear scarves and things, she was like, Mom, I'm so sorry. And she humbled herself. And so then I fixed it. And so from then on, it was great. But sometimes we got to let our kids go through that stuff so they can see. This is why you listen to your mama. Because I've been there. I've seen the things that you think you want to see. I know what's coming. Let me help you. Let me support you.
I have a question that I usually ask guests on this podcast. Do you believe that food plays a role in our daily behaviors and our actions that we take?
Absolutely.
And the power of food, like, does it matters how much you get or where it comes from?
Do you realize that in North Minneapolis, we are considered a food desert?
I hear food swamp.
Food swamp.
Yeah,
okay, now I don't know what the swamp is, but the desert for me is dry. So swamp is like real wet, right? So
there's food. We have access to food, but it's not the right access. So we have everything we don't need, but it's edible.
Let's talk about the additives in food, right? So they could be mad because they hyped up on all these additives and preservatives that they're injecting into our food. You know, that a lot of countries don't allow the preservatives and additives that America allows in their food that we allow in ours, based on the fact that, in England, their health care is free. And so based on the fact that they have free healthcare, they want to keep their citizens healthy because it helps their bottom line. Where for us, our healthcare is an arm and a leg. So yeah, let's make them sick with the food that they eat so that they always got to come to the doctor. They always got to come and see about their ailments because we're feeding it to them, right? And so that's why in our communities, you see all those corner stores with all of the additives and preservatives, and nothing is organic. Nothing is made straight from farm to table. Nothing is something you can just take home and put together in a meal. It's
in a bottle of water, $5.
Oh,
I can get a can of pop for 50 cents. I'm like, oh my
yes. So
God.
what are you gonna get? Because your pocket says, I need to feed these 5 kids. I can't afford the water. So yeah, let's all get sodas. Let's all get those little juices that come in the little plastic with the metal peel top, right? There's no juice in it at all. It's all 40 dyed 10 and right, red dyed 40 and yellow dyed 20.
Everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing organic.
But like the people, right? Our community, everybody's not food conscious, right? They just see food. Right, so you grow up, you know what you know, right? Because this is what was given to you. Maybe this is what their parent had given to them. So it becomes a norm on how they feed their kids.
I'm a single parent. I work a 9-to-5 job. I got to pick these kids up. I got to get them home. I got to get them fed. I'm tired at this point. It's easier to pop something in the microwave, pop something in the oven real quick, and get it on the table than versus going in there, chopping up some fresh vegetables, chopping up some fresh, potatoes and things like that, boiling them on the stove, putting stuff, getting that chicken out, washing it and seasoning it and putting it in the oven, and waiting a good half an hour, 45 minutes for stuff to even get ready so you can put it in the oven to make, right? And then another hour later, the chicken is ready, the macaroni and cheese, the greens, all the good stuff, it's ready, right? You don't have time for that. Because you're already spent from working for a job you probably don't even like just because you got to pay these bills, right? You coming home to a community that might not be the one you want to live in because you can't afford to live anywhere else, so it might not be safe, right? And so you stand in the house when it's a hot day, you want to be outside enjoying the weather. So think of all those barriers, right? And now you talking about cooking a full meal? Not happening. We going to do something quick because I'm in survival mode, not in thriving mode.
But even if it's quick, learning to look at the nutrition labels on the back of the packages, right? Because there is some good frozen food that you can pick, but it's in a little corner in most local convenience stores,
and more
right?
expensive,
or in grocery stores, right? So, but like just taking that little time, to watch which ingredients are in the food that you prepare, because sometimes you could get a frozen bag of vegetables that just say washed in vegetables, or you could get something that say added this, added that, added it. Like, it's just supposed to be vegetables,
right?
Like,
just water and peas.
So just looking and seeing what's on the back of that label, nutrition label, it matters. And I know a lot of people overlook it. It's hardly taught in school. They just fly by it in a health class, but they don't really get you to focus in on it and
make it a lifestyle.
Comparison.
Yeah, because it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it is.
So it sounds like you got something here, Nicole, with this podcast. You're going to teach us some things.
Something a little, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, my goal is to have people rethink their food, right? And even with we always say a single parent, it could be a 2-parent working household where they're just both overworked.
Overwhelmed.
But figuring out a time where you can prep food. I know a lot of people say don't eat leftovers. But if you buy in frozen food, that is still considered
that's a leftover.
Right?
Okay.
That's frozen, right?
Yes.
But figuring out how to plan ahead. Like I learned that if you plan ahead what you're cooking for the week, it'd be more convenient because you already know what you're cooking. So you're already got this washed and set and probably marinating. You already know you're finna use this and whatever ingredients left over from this, you might be able to flip over into that dish.
Yes.
It might be a day where the kid will eat something frozen, right? But at least you was able to get a few of those meals in. I know our biggest excuse is that we don't have time, but if we actually look and think about our day, we do have time.
We do. What's important, we make time for, right? Yeah.
Like we do. We get lost on social media scrolling and laughing at videos.
Ain't that the
truth?
truth?
Like you could have been in the kitchen doing something, right? But everybody's not where they need to be. I'm not where I need to be.
Me either. But we're a work in progress, right?
Work in progress.
Yeah.
Nothing's perfect.
Amen.
So you just start with a little, and life happens, stuff happens, but you still try to figure it out. And so what I did one day was I have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
did my calculations like, okay, I need to be up at this time so I could get to work. So I need to go to bed like if I wanted to get 8 hours of sleep, right?
Yes.
I did the whole thing too, right? And it was dead on perfect.
Nice.
It was real good.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it.
Okay.
It was perfect, right?
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
like,
the
okay,
discipline is tough,
yeah,
ain't it?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, so I need to be up at this time to get here to make sure kids off to school. I need to go to bed at this time.
Yes.
I need to get this done, right? So seeing my schedule, and if I just stuck to it,
yes,
it'll be perfect. But I don't really want to be perfect.
And that's something.
I want stuff just to flow and go,
yeah,
right?
to evolve.
Because I'm like, I don't want to be planned. I don't want to be do.
Yeah.
I want to be kind of sometimes in the morning like snooze.
Okay.
Right? I don't want everything just to fall in place.
Yeah.
I just want it to be right.
Right.
So figuring out things that affect us and trying to make change if we willing to make those changes.
Yes.
Like I know that I need change and I see what I could change. I'm like,
yeah. You know, I always say that there's pain somewhere. You're either going to deal with the pain of your discipline or the pain of your lack of discipline, right? There's always going to be pain. So would I rather deal with it now, you know, getting this plan, doing things organized, having things set up. That's tough, irritating. I really don't want to go to bed right now because my good movie is on. I want to stay up and chill out for a minute.
Right.
But I know I got to go to bed. I know I got to get up, right? So do I take that pain now and sacrifice now? Or do I sacrifice in the long run when my body is ailing me because I'm not getting enough rest, right? Or because I'm not eating right because I've not made that plan, like you said, scheduling that week ahead for the meals, right? And so there is going to be a sacrifice somewhere. Would you rather make it in the front end or in the back end?
I heard it's best to make it in the front.
Yes.
I heard it's best to make it in the front.
And it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we only here for a short time, right? And then we're gone. But we always have a legacy.
Yes.
What would you want to be remembered by? Like near future, when someone speak of you and say your name.
Yes.
And you be like, this is who I am and this is what I want to be remembered for. What would you want your legacy to be?
That's a great question. So as a woman of God, right, I want to be someone who is righteous and kind. I think a lot of times I don't see, right, a lot of people of God being kind. It's almost like you know too much to be kind. Like I know that I'm better because I live a godly life. And so you're a heathen and I can't be kind to you. And that's not who Jesus called us to be, right? He called us to be kind to everyone, the sinner and likewise, because I'm a sinner. Even though I live a life for God, I'm a sinner because I'm human and I'm not going to be perfect. That's never going to happen. And so how do I bring in someone into the kingdom of God when I'm judging them? There's no way. And so I want to be known as someone who is kind and loving and righteous and live the life that she professed. Because a lot of times we say something and then our actions prove totally different. And so I want to be known as a kind, righteous woman who lived the life that she preached.
I appreciate you for joining and sharing out that information. Appreciate you and the work that you do here, and sharing space with you.
Yes, thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, thank you too. So we're going to end that. Thanks for joining us on Full Move the Rail podcast.
Go food. ASC got produced. ASC about to go cool. We gon'